As business owners, entrepreneurs, family men, it's difficult for us to find the time to put together projects like these. Even though it's something we really want to do, unfortunately, taking care of the things we have to take care of comes first. However, because of viewer support for people like you, we're able to continue doing this. Please consider joining our Patreon and supporting the Burn and Return podcast. You're listening to Burn and Return, a weekly 1-hour podcast covering news from the agricultural and turfgrass industries.
Did you hear that? That's the DJ scratch. What does that mean? That means it is another episode of Burn and Return. How the hell is everybody doing? My name is Matt. Sometimes I go by the Grass Factor. Martin. Alongside me, we have Ryan DeMay and Ray Ito. Gentlemen, I gotta ask, did y'all sight any drones over the past, 7 days or so?
Nope. Not me.
Ray, very matter of fact. Nope.
I think they're all searching for Telly Coleman because it's literally the only way that you're going to get a dick pic with the whole thing in the frame. That whole hog in the frame is at 200 feet and probably right over the airfield
Above.
where you find Telly Coleman.
Yeah.
So, Telly, raise your hand. Let them find out where you are, and hopefully, somebody's going to get a nice Christmas card.
Yeah, man, I tell you, it's been really fun in our house. We've been hoping the aliens are here, and we'll see what they bring with them. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like that. Everything from whatever their nuclear sniffers to butthole sniffers or whatever else is going on. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, it's not very exciting. But you know what is exciting? What is exciting is this week's headlines. This is just the news, and coming out here, we'll give you a little update here. It is December, and we're talking commodities. Fertilizer retail prices are, they're trending upwards, and is it normal this time of year? They're not moving enough to get anybody excited. 6 of the 8 major fertilizers were higher in price compared to last month. That has been in the case in recent weeks. No fertilizer had a sizable price increase or decline. That would be considered anything 5% or more. DAP, MAP, urea, 10-34-0, which is like a budget. What is 10-30? Would you just consider that a budget MAP? I don't know what the technical name for it is. Anhydrous ammonia, 719 a ton, UAN 28, 324. Do what?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just
Great value map.
Great. It is Ollie's map. So again, MAP is just up there, absolutely soaring at crazy high prices right now, and chances of it softening anytime soon. Survey says no. Do not expect that to come down anytime soon. Anything with phosphorus right now is just absolutely off the chart. Again, when we're seeing DAP prices at $7.39 a ton, just bang your head against the wall. MAP is even higher at $8.16. And potash is $4.43, so we've seen some softening there. Urea, $4.96. It ticked up just a little bit of hair, but we're doing okay. That is to be expected. Now, I just want to make it clear that there will be some surge in pricing as we move into the season. That is very seasonally normal. So as we get into planning and so on and so forth, you're going to see urea begin to climb up. So we're at $4.96 now. We hit the high of 2024. Looks like $5.85. Could we get there again? Chances are probably. There's still enough global uncertainty right now. The one thing that we might create some softening in it is just over on the supply demand side of natural gas. We get some big heavy production of natural gas coming out of our fields, then, hey, we might see some softening that occurs there, especially if we see some energy costs on the other sides of the sectors begin to fall as well. So anyway, something to keep an eye on. There we are. Nothing necessarily out of the normal. We have another one here. I thought this was interesting here. And why I put it in is that it's a little interview here with TruGreen CEO. This is not typically someone that people get to have a lot of interaction with. I think anyone that has been in lawn care long enough, has kind of a love-hate relationship with TruGreen. Hate in the sense that the pricing a lot of times gets real wonky and it can create problems for you. And other times is that, well, they tend to piss enough people off that, all of a sudden they're one of your greatest sales tools. They're a major referral asset for you. This is the CEO's first year with TruGreen. They have over 15,000 employees. And what's interesting is that they're number 3 on Lawn and Landscape's top 100 with over $1.5 billion in revenue. That is a massive, massive undertaking there. Previously, he was president, U.S. Chief Commercial Officer at the Wendy's Company. Before Wendy's, he was at Yum Brands. He licensed the brand Pizza Hut both in the U.S. and globally across 95 countries worldwide. He's led brand and business transformations at Frito-Lay, Molson Coors Brewing Company, and Procter & Gamble. He's also served as Air Defense Artillery Officer in the United States Army and earned a bachelor's degree from the United States Military Academy and received a master's degree from the University of Texas at Austin. Talking about his first year, he said it's been fun, really dynamic, a year of learning, and also trying to help drive focus in the company so we could simplify the things that we're really focused on so that we could be more effective at them. So that's a very corporate answer if I've ever heard one. Examples of things that need to be simplified are a number of important initiatives, but perhaps too many of those initiatives. So a lot of those initiatives weren't necessarily tied to a specific strategy. So one of the first things our leadership team did when we all came together as I came in, we sat down and we went through what our strategic platform was going to look like. We built our strategies out to have 5 core pillars that we are focused against, and initiatives that we have are directly tied to those 5 core pillars. It was a good example of really trying to simplify back the core of the mission, the core mission of the company, the strategic pillars that are going to enable the growth that we believe we can achieve, and then driving that all the way through down to the branch level so that everybody's got visibility to that. Appealing about TruGreen is that the more I learned about it, the more I saw similarities rather than differences. It's obviously very people driven. And if you love your people, if you love having the opportunity to either lead people, coach people, or just engage with people, there's a few industries that I could see could benefit more from that and are more rewarding. So I think that's a big piece of it. And transparently, growth. I looked at where TruGreen was as a company. I look at where we are as an industry, and I look at how much upside there is from taking business out of do it yourself and bringing it into the world of do it for me. I thought that was incredibly compelling. It's similar in that it's a service industry job. When you were at Wendy's, you have the cashiers working hourly jobs, and you have guys on mowers working hourly jobs, and then scaling up from there. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot more similarities than differences just because of that, but they're both very people-intensive businesses. At that same point, there are also people that are very connected to their role. As a result, you've got people that are willing to roll up their sleeves, get into the work every day. If you're that kind of person and you're that kind of leader, that's a really good match, and that's the kind of way that I like to lead. Coming into a company with 15,000 employees, what did you do that first week? Day one was just being visible. So if he asked me, day one, week one, the first day, I had to go to a board meeting and actually get into the job because it happened very quickly. Day two, I was out in a truck. I was doing a ride along with one of our specialists who had a lot of experience and spent the day with him. It was in Memphis, Tennessee. But just a good opportunity to hear from him on his experience, what things we were doing right, what were opportunities. He was very willing to share. He wasn't intimidated by me or my job. He was super honest throughout the day. During the ride along, I saw he cared a lot about what he was doing and wanted to do it right. And I also saw a lot of opportunity to be more efficient if we could drive destiny. One of our core strategies we call Own the Neighborhood that came directly out of being on the truck that day, which is what do we need to do so that we're not driving 15 minutes between stops? And instead, we're actually creating route density and getting people clearly in a community all engaged with TruGreen. Instead of seeing our flags, a competitor's flag, a third competitor's flag across the street, how could we do what we need to do to earn the business so that we can make our specialist time a lot more efficient? So anyway, it goes on. I thought these were all pretty interesting here. Talks a little bit about mergers and acquisitions there at the end if you're into that kind of thing, especially if you want to develop an exit strategy for your company. But more so, I was like, man, he hopped on a truck with a guy in Memphis, Tennessee. Hey, kudos, balls to this guy. He recognizes a lot of the things that I think we see. You know, we understand the importance of route density and what that means in terms of your profitability after how that impacts profitability. So But the other thing that I was actually pretty shocked was the old boy from Memphis area. He was pretty intense about sharing what he didn't like. Now, as we have this CEO that has moved into this role and has these ideas of capturing the community, so to speak, or own the neighborhood, I think was the verbiage he used. What do you do with let's see, it's 2024. What do you do with a 30-year reputation of less than stellar? I don't know. Something I'm going to keep an eye on. I'm curious what their growth trajectory is going to look like. But I mean, Deme, if you had to undo a 30-year reputation, what would be your first step?
I mean, what was Domino's that they did? What was it, like 10 years ago? They just kind of like admitted that their pizza sucked. Like they went headlong into that. And again, can't remember the timing of all of it, but they basically went headlong into that and said, "Hey, like we know that this isn't good, and this is what we fixed." And they've had a huge resurgence, and it's the same thing of like at a national level. The thing though is that where Domino's can make all that stuff in the commissary, right? And then bring it out to the store and, kind of slap it all together, put it in the oven and deliver it out. Like you can't do that in lawn care. And it's hard to replicate those results. And I've seen, some of our clients are um some of TruGreen's biggest competitors, right? We've got a few that are big time national lawn care companies. And the interesting thing is that we'll get people that call in here, right? Or text us or write us or whatever. And we'll say, hey, I have this problem on this type of grass and this type of climate in this area, right? And the thing is that even at scale, even with 15,000 employees and offices and branches everywhere, you still have to be able to solve down to that granular level, right? Of what's going right and what's going wrong. Otherwise, right? You have to just be the dominoes, right? You have to be sort of I mean, other two favorite places are closed, or I don't want to pay that much, or whatever. And there's that subset of customers you get. As far as owning the neighborhood and everything like that, I don't know. Obviously that's what everybody wants. That's what everybody's going to do, um, and go for. But I think when it comes down to it, guys, is like, right, you don't have to own a neighborhood, and your business model is completely different. I get that, but when somebody is doing okay work, how do you even begin to pull yourself out of that hole? Like, at what point do you say we're just going to be good enough or slightly better than shitty, and that's our mo? And what level? I don't know. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack indeed, Ryan, because I encounter that. And if somebody makes the commitment to do less than stellar work, what they then have to do to make up for it is volume, volume, volume. And right from the start now, I caution everybody that asks us about growing their business. I caution them. I put this cautionary tale before them. I say, do you want to be the person that has to do several thousand lawns a month for low prices, constantly chase new clientele because your old clientele got fed up with you and sick of you? Or do you want to have a select group of people that you work for and you keep those same people year after year after year, and you just invest all of your money into providing them with such first class service that a person coming by with a lower price doesn't even tempt them? Okay? That's my take on this. And unfortunately, this CEO is talking a good story about owning the neighborhood, but I don't think he has grasp of what it takes to truly do that. I'm not sure he does, and I am seeing something in our chat that's very disturbing about him. His He's a consolidator. He's a slash and burn man. And likewise, I've seen slash and burn people enter the lawn and landscape space, and it doesn't end well.
Yeah, so I know that he was one of the ones that implemented Wendy's social media team when they got into the Twitter war with McDonald's and all that. And so I definitely believe he has some good strategies. But like you were talking about, Demay, that you can come out and you can say, hey, look, we understand this is what our reputation was. This is what we're doing to fix it. And if your approach in this industry is that better ingredients, better pizza, kind of the Papa John's thing is that, well, we're just going to use better ingredients, period. Right. We'll negotiate a better contract with Cisco. We'll get the better grade of cheese. We'll get the better grade of pizza sauce, and everything will turn around for us. You can spend more money on ingredients in turf grass, but the reality is that going to translate to results? And unfortunately, exactly. That is not how that works. You're not delivering a consumable. You're delivering a product that is manipulating nature. And so that is what time will tell how that shakes out. Shocker.
We'll see.
Just got to
Good
get
luck to this guy.
Yeah, I probably get all the employees enrolled in golfcourselawnacademy.com stat. That's what I do.
Do you hear that? They are headed your way, Ron Lemon, in record numbers. Speaking of, we are going to be doing our We Care lawn care coming up. We're going to do this on Monday, December 30th. Monday, December 30th, we are going to be doing our annual St. Jude Raise-a-thon. I'm sure we'll have some special guests pop in, but go ahead and mark that one on your calendar. We will be doing our St. Jude Raise-a-thon. We raised $20,000 for St. Jude last year. We did over $10,000 the year before. Look, this is something that is near and dear to us, and so we're going to give it our absolute best. And I think J Pink here has us a promo video for our Monday the 30th We Care Lawn Care annual St. Jude-a-thon.
Idea. Usually every year we have Santa get on the stream with us, and schedules are weird. So Santa's going to join us for our fundraiser. And just in case you have missed Santa in previous years, here's just an idea, right, of what Santa is.
I don't give a fuck what you want.
I am excited to have Santa.
He really
on.
doesn't. Santa, I mean, here's the thing is that we ask Santa's booking folks, when can we get him good and full of piss and vinegar so that he can apply peer pressure, insult our viewer base, and really, really twist their arms to donate money towards St. Jude and kids with cancer. And they said, yeah, probably after the holiday for sure. And, getting back to, whatever, what's the date again? The 29th, the 30th, something like that?
30th.
Perfect timing.
30th.
Perfect timing. Right before the new year. You can get all the tax breaks. It is tax deductible. It is a 501c3. So realize those opportunities, and let's see if we can hit I don't know, guys, 25 this year. We went from 10 to 20. Maybe we can go for 30. I don't know. We got to get some people out here though. Try to get some special guests lined up for that.
Tell your friends, tell your wife, tell your husbands. They're St. Juding everybody out here. With that out of the way, let's check out everybody's favorite segment, Joe Schno's Turf.
Joe knows turf. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because Joe knows turf.
As we said, there's a number of people that know turf, and some people know it so well they even have an academy named after a golf course that they've never worked on before. And in this case, I'm talking about one individual that's going to give us a lot of information here, a lot of turf facts. and so much so that we have them doubled up here tonight. Gentlemen, it's a double feature here tonight, and both of these are going to come to us courtesy of Alex's husband, Ron Henry. So, J Pink, let's watch video number 1. This is from a live stream, a recent live stream here, in which a viewer asks a question about spraying and fertilizing in I believe Michigan. Let's see what he has to say.
Or if not, if you are and you, welcome. He says, "Hey Ron, happy Thanksgiving. I live in Michigan. I think Michigan. Yeah, Michigan is MI. And I'm getting ready to spoon feed one last time this year for this weekend. Can I mix propiconazole with my liquid fert? Snow and 20s in the forecast for next week." While you could, I don't know what liquid fert you're using. You're saying spoon feeding, so I'm imagining it's a foliar spray of some sort. So if it were me, I wouldn't. You
don't do.
You figure the liquid.
You don't do a granular application of liquid fert. Can we get that out of the fucking way? Just, you assume they're doing a foliar application. Of course they are. You don't dry spread liquid fertilizer.
Can we also
Does he think this
agree
homeowner has a setup to do a massive soil drench it like 10 gallons, 1,000 carrier volume? This is a foliar spray or foliar.
Can we agree that he was one heartbeat away from asking ChatGPT if MI was the state symbol for Michigan? State abbreviation.
Most likely.
Just one pitter patter, and he would have hit that up. All right.
Okay, and guys, and one more thing.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
Am I a total boomer because I never use ChatGPT for anything?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Even in the most obvious situations like this, where it says, MI, Michigan, I'm sure that would be a good top 10 list of top 10 dumbest things asked to ChatGPT. But probably the dumbest one that I think anybody could ask is, what's the right thing to say in the moment to Sheila? And the answer is real simple. It's 2 words. It doesn't have to come this big, long soliloquy, paragraphs long. It just says, "Fuck me." That's it. All right.
Yeah.
Liquid fertilizer wants to be sprayed and left to dry on the leaf, and the propiconazole,
It's a simple
you're going to
woman.
spray it and then water it in. Now, I guess if you wanted to, you really were deciding to do this, you could
Go back,
spray
Jay.
it,
Go back.
and just I would. You figure the liquid fertilizer wants to be sprayed and left to dry on the leaf, and the propiconazole, you're going to spray it and then water it in. Now, I guess if you.
Wow.
Bro, what world do you live in?
Deep in the
Holy
weeds here right
smokes.
now.
Hang on,
Deep
guys.
in the weeds.
This is
Okay.
also just burning an absolute, like someone has a Fresnel magnifier that is right against my brain right now.
We need that screen grab.
What? When you see snow and 20s in the forecast next week, why aren't you just like, the fuck are you doing applying fertilizer one last time? What are you hoping to
Why?
get out of this? That is a
Okay.
total waste of time and money in the space-time continuum.
And here's to get a little more granular, Ryan.
Pun fully
Why
intended.
would somebody want to apply propiconazole when it's going to snow next week? Why would somebody want to or need to do that? I mean, I just educate me.
It's a solid snow mold material. But if there's and you would spray that about this time of the year, Thanksgiving, early December, something like this. This is the stream from right after Thanksgiving, so it's a couple weeks old. But that's a typical 2 to 4 ounces per 1,000. You'd spray it, but you would not water it in under any circumstances, right? Yes, DMIs can be a local penetrant, right? Can go down to the roots and be taken up, and if you're dealing with soil-borne fungus, right? In this case, foliar diseases such as pink or gray snow mold, like which you would face in Michigan on any of these grasses, those could be an issue. But if there was snow in the forecast for next week, that wouldn't bother me. If I had temperatures that were in the 40s, that'd be fine. But to mix these together, and then to do the mental gymnastics that Ron's going to continue to do. Look at him, how deep in thought he is right now.
Yeah, I think I see smoke almost coming out of his ears because he's trying his hardest to formulate a logical answer where the most logical answer would be skip the fertilizer and do propiconazole if snow mold is a concern, but otherwise, your lawn season is over, pal.
This is the face of somebody that's taken an Imodium and it has watered it in. That's
Or is that
All
the
right.
face of somebody
Go
where their Imodium's not working? Ah!
Give me that too.
One and two, you really were deciding to do this. You could mix them, spray it, and just simply wait until the following day until you water the propiconazole in. That's another option too. But the thing is that typically, unless you're treating some kind of a foliar disease, you're going to apply fungicide with a larger droplet spray tip, much like the flood jet tip, which I have right here. Whereas a spoon, like a liquid fertilizer, if you're using spoon feed, doing spoon
Oh man.
Oh, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. This is
would benefit from a finer droplet spray tip like this one here. So it's, if you're going to do it, this is the one that I would use. I would use the larger droplet tip and then just wait until the following day. But realistically, if you can, just if your lawn's not too big, just do 2 apps. Like do one. How would I do it? I would spray this. I would spray the liquid fertilizer first. And then the following day I would spray propiconazole. That's what I would do. And then right after you spray it, you could then water it in. You can't do it in a pinch, but if it were me, I would do them separately. I'm trying to think of all the times when I've done applications of fungicide, and I don't think I've ever sprayed liquid fertilizer along with fungicide. Pre-emergent with it, yes, but fertilizer like a foliar.
Never worked in the turfgrass industry without telling me you've never worked in the turfgrass industry.
Notwithstanding the fact that, hey kids, sorry we can't buy you Christmas presents this year. Well, why not, Dad? Well, because I went out and a couple weeks ago I watered in that fungicide app when it was 20 degrees out. Lost my fingers to frostbite, because they were freezing out there. I was watering it in 32-degree weather. I tried Brian's trick of heating up the water, but then, I damn near burned the house down. So between the copay for my fingers and the house being burnt down, well, we're just going to go to Denny's and have Christmas there. Love you.
Yeah, Christmas is kind of short. And okay, I remember seeing this graphic. I think Syngenta did it. They showed the coverage that you can expect to get running a fungicide app through a low pressure flood jet nozzle like the one Ron Henry had in his hand. And you know what it looked like on the water sensitive cards? Big drops landing really far apart. Okay, that's what
it's the
fungicide
fact that
coverage.
he doesn't think you can combine these. Period. That is absolute insanity. Then he wants to take it a step further and try to sell you something you don't fucking need. This guy, dude, I've got a theory. Ron has been huffing galaxy gas while he's not recording YouTube content. And the sulfur dioxide has begun to eat his brain harder than RFK's brainworms. I'm going to call it right now. The dude is on galaxy gas bad.
He is, well, no, I think he's upwind. I was going to say he could be downwind from Hartsfield Jackson. And this could just be, a whole bunch of chemtrail wash from the drones. Could be the drones. It's all coming together now. It's all coming together. All right, let's see what else.
Dude, is he doing Jeffrey Dahmer level experiments on himself, fucking drilling holes in his head and pouring acid in it to see if it gives him superhuman strength? I mean, dude, I never would have guessed
answering questions.
Ron Henry would have said this.
He has no business.
But this bad, like a liquid fertilizer. I would love to go through. I would never do this. This would be a great tool for AI. Is if we could search his video catalog and have it go through and analyze his speech and find out the number of times that he's recommended spraying fungicide and see if he's ever recommended spraying a fungicide and liquid fertilizer at the same time. Again, I don't know anybody on the professional side of the industry that has never done that. I can't think of anyone.
God, Matt. I mean, because I thought that it makes logical sense to mix the two to get recovery of the turf grass when you're in the middle of disease, right? 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 I mean,
It's
because
a no-brainer. What a great thing to combine with your fungicide.
yeah, some fertilizer to get the grass to come back because I often get asked, how did I get the turf grass to recover so quickly from its foobar? And well, let's see, what am I loading into the solution? Iron, 20-20-20,
Time's up.
AMS.
It's over.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I don't
Man,
know. I mean,
this guy, he is not okay, DeMay. What has happened to Ron Henry
I don't
here?
know. Well, this is you know what? It's probably the other thing that it could be is, guys. This was filmed, I'm pretty sure, on Black Friday, and he was probably sweating how much money he was giving up by allowing the huge
3%.
5% discount. 5% discount. It might have been 3. I don't know. You know, adjusted for inflation, it might as well be 3. All right, let's play
Blue
this.
Sky has
few
not been
minutes
good to
here.
his brain, has it?
Fertilizer, if you're using doing spoon feeding, would benefit from a finer droplet spray tip like this one here. So it's, if you're going to do it, this is the one that I would use. I would use the larger droplet tip and then just wait until the following day. But realistically, if you can, just if your lawn's not too big, just, you know, do 2 apps. Like do one. How would I do it? I would spray this. I would spray the liquid fertilizer first.
This is so dumb.
And then the following day I would spray propiconazole. That's what I would do. And then right after you spray it, you could
That is going to be
it
the game changer when
in.
you've
Again,
got snow
you can't
and
do it in a
20s
pinch, but
next week. The game changer.
if it were me, I would do them separately. I'm trying to think of all the times when I've done applications of fungicide, and I don't think I've ever sprayed liquid fertilizer along with fungicide. Pre-emergent
Get
with
the
it,
fuck
yes,
out.
but fertilizer like in a foliar uptake fertilizer,
I'll do
I've never done
4-play,
that.
and I'll do
So hope that
sacks.
helps,
I'll do
Addy.
4-play and sacks together.
Now, a caveat to this
I've
would
gotta
be,
put
let's
this
say
on
you're
YouTube.
using
on
a
Twitter.
liquid fertilizer
Let him go. Let him go.
that does need to be watered in, right? So it's not one that is designed to work by foliar uptake, meaning you don't have to spray it and allow it to dry on the leaf.
What the
It's one where you
fuck are
spray
you
and then after
talking
spraying
about?
it, you need to water it in. In that case, yeah, you're good to go. You can mix your liquid fertilizer and propiconazole, spray them, water them in, and you are good to go. So it really depends on what kind of fertilizer you're using. You just said spoon feeding, but you didn't really tell me which fertilizer you are aiming for. But
DeMay,
hopefully that helps.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? The fuck is he talking about?
I just bring the videos, man. You know,
I have a theory.
Yeah,
Matt.
and
I have
maybe
a
that's rhetorical that I'm asking you. Like I'm yelling at you.
No,
Like
I have a theory on it.
remind me what exactly went through his thought process for him to think there's a difference between a soil applied and foliar absorbed spoon feeding fertilizer choice.
Matt, I
it's the
noticed something
chemtrails from
else
the
too.
drones. It's the only explanation.
I noticed something else too. You know this guy?
Damn it, drive.
He gets extremely lost when people are asking him about products that he specifically does not sell in his golf course lawn academy store. Because you remember the time that he had a total brain fart when somebody asked about urea. You remember
Yeah.
that incident?
Oh yeah,
If they're gonna suggest it,
Shadox.
they should sell it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm fairly certain I could freebase an ounce of fucking crack and it be more coherent than this guy. Fully convinced.
All right, I'll see this one. Now we're gonna raise you. Go ahead and let's watch the second one here, JP, real quick. It's a short, so it's
God.
good. It's a nice way to cleanse the palate before we go into the burn.
I don't believe you.
Best weed killer to use with prodiamine on cool season grass depends on the weed you're trying to control. So, you know, something as simple as a 3-way, like Triad Select that we carry, that can work along with prodiamine. You can use Tenacity. It really depends on the weed you're trying to control. You know what I mean? So it's an open-ended question, but the weed dictates the herbicide that you use to mix with prodiamine. The one thing I tell you to keep in mind if you decide to do that to mix a herbicide along with prodiamine is that if you normally, like most post-emergent herbicides, normally call for surfactant for best results. In my opinion, it's best to omit that if you're going to be mixing it along with pre-emergent. So what you would do is if you're going to mix, say, tenacity and prodiamine, you're going to spray them both tomorrow.
Oh my God!
You would do that,
really?
but you wouldn't water until a day or so afterwards. If you spread everything Saturday morning, you'd wait until Sunday to run your irrigation to give the herbicide ample time to dry on the leaf of the weed you're targeting.
Holy
So
shit!
if you're spraying your prodiamine and your wheat and your your broadleaves, when there's snow in the forecast too. This is not this. I don't know when this video is from. I was just making a joke, but guys,
Okay, you know what?
where did he go wrong? What is going on here?
Okay,
dude,
that means
what
then,
kind of
guys? I've been doing this all wrong all along then, because do you know how many times I've combined a surfactant, a post-emergent, and prodiamine all together in the same tank? Do you know how many times I've done it?
I think it would be easier to count the number of times you haven't done it.
Because
Even
that's my weed.
then,
That's my weed control cocktail right there. Is I'll stop the existing weeds, and I'll prevent its progeny, its spawn from re-emerging in the treated areas. So 1, 2, 3, we're doing pre-emergent and post-emergent, and a surfactant to make sure that the post-emergent works. And I've
I feel like
never
even-
had a loss of efficacy from combining a surfactant with the pre-emergent. I've never had a problem.
I feel like even on day 2, with the TruGreen CEO riding along with you, and you mixed up 3-way and prodiamine and omitted the sticker. Even Bro's gonna be like, dude, what the fuck you doing? Get some sticker in there. Let's go. Come on. Huh?
Yeah. Get some surfactant in that
Like,
tank.
you've been printing $3 bills again, queer? Sorry, sir.
Remember,
Is
that's what
this
you
a
got to tell
Wendy's?
them. Listen, there's a there's a there's a new CEO here at TruGreen. You don't have to take your lunch breaks with the hose running from the muffler back into the cab. Okay, it's gonna get better. And the guy should, the obvious response of him, like, lunch breaks? What are you talking about? We don't get lunch breaks. All right. Anyway, Ron's clearly off his rocker. I hope Ron has a good Christmas.
Boy.
I hope. Listen, I'll make a call here. I will promise you this. I will promise you this. There will be no possible way that Ron will not know that we are doing a fundraiser for St. Jude's on December 30th. And I will implore him. I will ask him, and I'll ask you. I'll do the same thing. If you're a fan of the show, if you've watched us make fun of him, and if you enjoy supporting cancer research, I'd ask you to make yourself known and make it known that on December 30th, 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll be recording that show. But we'll do it live, and we'll obviously have we're watching the fundraising tally go up and up and up. I hope Ron will participate. I hope just like Travis that first year, after he tried to seasucker us, and then he wouldn't even step up to the plate and mention it on his channel, let alone even put any of his own money behind it. Sad. But Ron can, because Ron's making dollar bills, right? And there's no fucking reason that a couple of 3 lawn jockeys here can't go out there and put our money behind it, but this motherfucker can't. So as much as we make fun of him for it, it's for entertainment, it's for shock value, and quite honestly, it's to watch Matt's anxiety ratchet up and watch Ray's anger get cranked too. But for me, the biggest thing is that these guys are all making money on you. They're all making money on people that you used to be or that you aren't now, whatever the case might be. So Ron, I'm talking to you right now, right into the camera. Come give us some of your money, motherfucker. And let's put it towards kids that need it, and not you in your fucking pocket and your nice little house. There you go. There's Matt. He's about to lick the camera. All right. Moving on. Let's check out Sheila's.
Wait.
Stories. Oh.
Wait.
Oh.
I think I know what is going on with Ron. I know Ron had a book club that he made recommendations on before, right? And he's into financial, he's into like self-development and like leadership and those kind of things. I think Ron has been experimenting with microdosing either psilocybin, LSD, or he's on the ketamine antidepressant thing, and he's not coming back from it all the way before he starts the next one. Or he's
over under he hasn't.
scheduling the experiments before he comes back all the way. You know, he's like, look, I'm tripping face, and then I gotta record, and he's just, man, it's not
Can we
not
ask
leveling out yet.
Can we ask ChatGPT how to buy somebody a spinal tap for Christmas? Can you do that? Is it a gift certificate? Is that a trip to the spa? I mean, how do you make that happen?
Let me tell you how tainted my spinal cord fluid is that they put one in me and it dissolved the fucking needle. And they put it in, and when they pulled it out, the needle was gone. And they were like, all right, we're going to pretend like that didn't happen.
Or over under, he's tripping out on ayahuasca. He went to the jungle and had an ayahuasca trip, and ever since then the man has not been right. That's another possibility too.
Things aren't looking
I just
good.
want to party with him.
No. Why do I get the feeling that he would be no fun at a party at all?
Oh, absolutely not. None.
No.
Yeah.
And if Ron Henry doesn't hate me now, I would certainly make sure that by the end of the party, he hated me so much he would plant an explosive device on my vehicle. And I'd be totally fine with it. Okay. All right. Now let's do the burns. That's right, Sparky. That is right. Like, sir, you're urinating jelly that is entirely way too corrosive.
It's like that.
They ran tests on Sparky and I's urine to break apart the carbon fluoride bond in PFAS.
It's that shit that was in Ghostbusters 2 going through the sewers, man.
Yep.
Speaking of PFAS,
Vigo.
I am going to actually, J Pink. Let's start with number 2 because the others are going to go together. So this is about Greenwich here. Greenwich is really shook right now because they have come to realize the cost to convert the entire Greenwich fleet to electric leaf blowers is shell-shocking. Town officials voted to enact a summertime ban on gas-powered leaf blowers earlier this year, and now the bill is coming due. They've asked finance officials for $476,000 for electric leaf blowers and upgrade facilities to store the new gear. It comes after a long debate about the use of gasoline-powered leaf blowers in Greenwich, culminating in a seasonal ban which took effect for the first time this year. The Parks and Rec leaders told the Board of Estimate and Taxation on December 10th that the $476,000 is basically the bare minimum they need to go electric and comply with legislation. We're not over asking, the Parks and Rec director said. We're just asking what we think we need based on our work capacity and also the amount of acreage, which in parks is over 2,000 acres. The request includes $265,000 for Park and Rec and $211,000 for the DPW, according to the document submitted to the BET. The total would allow the two departments to convert half of their respective blower fleets to electricity. If we were truly to do this for the whole fleet, full power and so forth, we'd probably be looking at all new electric services, basically from the utility poles out on the street, which would have been a significantly higher number than you even have in front of you today, which we knew was going to be shell shock because it was shell shocking to us. They want to buy 21 steel backpack leaf blowers, dozens of accompanying batteries, handheld leaf blowers, and 21 portable power stations to charge up in the field. They're requesting the same equipment in smaller counties at the DPW. The bulk of the cost comes from the batteries. The Parks Department asked for 21 primary backpack batteries, which cost $1,600 each, effectively, and each of the 42 backup batteries cost $1,300. Yowza! They also asked for money to upgrade electrical panels in storage sheds so they can handle the excess power demands, as well as the money to buy specialized cabinets to hold the batteries. The cabinets are designed to stop the spread of a fire if a battery fails and combust. Each battery lasts about 2 hours, officials said, but that can vary depending on how vigorously the batteries are being used. A light job may extend battery life past 2 hours, but intense blowing will drain the charge quicker. Given that capacity, officials are working off the assumption that a blower will start a workday with 2 full batteries, one filling up on a mobile charger. As batteries are drained, they will go on the charger, and even the crews, it may run out of juice. I do think that 3 batteries are going to get us through the day just barely in most of our jobs. This goes all the way back to 2022, and they're just now realizing the financial hurdle of it. And it's not just a matter of securing new equipment; it's the power demand that goes along with it. It has to come from somewhere, right? Something has to charge the batteries, and now you've got amp draw coming through your walls. And say everything's on a 10 amp breaker from your 100 amp panel on the side of your shed there. Boy, you can start to overload those pretty fast. It's like when your old wife fires up the space heater and the hair dryer at the same time, and half the house goes without power. And you said, "Damn it, what happened?" And then you turn it back on, and she does it again. And then the third time, you're like, "Did you keep turning on your hair dryer?" "Yeah." "Which plug are you using?" "Oh, the one that has everything in the fucking house plugged into it." Let's not do that anymore. Or at least let's unplug the rest of it first. Here we go. Good luck to these guys, and I'm sure 476,000 is the start of it. Looks like it's going to climb well past $1 million. I have no idea what the lifespan on these batteries are, but I'd say you get through a season of really intense discharge and recharging back to 100%. I'm going to guess maybe half these batteries last an entire season. The other half will make it maybe 2 seasons, a season and a half. So this replacement cost is going to happen effectively every other year, is my guess, as the technology sits right now. Sorry. Hey, A for effort, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the leopards ate my face of turf, right? Like, this is, I don't know.
Which is why, guys, for me, if somebody said that I had to go electric, do you know what I'd be demanding or wanting? Rather than batteries, I'd want the nuclear accelerator powered version, Ryan. Because I caught your reference at the beginning of this segment, but I want the version where I ain't running on batteries. I'm running on a plutonium power cell, because I realize the limitations of battery. Because, by the way, I do have a cordless drill and a battery pack on my truck with me at all times. And do you know what I mostly use that for, Ryan?
What's that?
That's to quickly backlap my mower. Because I insist on having sharp blades when I do a job, right? So I'll backlap that mower sharp before I put it on somebody's lawn. But then I'm not putting that drill and that battery pack through 8-hour-a-day usage. It's not the same.
No,
It's
and
not the
as
same.
Matt said, this is only going to just accelerate both in wear and tear and usage and everything like that. I'm not against this. It's just, again, another situation of implementing something without understanding the true cost first, and number two is, the velocity of change, not being able to keep up with either resources or the practicality of implementing such a thing. Take a section, take a crew of the city, right, and say, okay, hey, you guys are going to be our first all electric crew. Figure
Try
out
it.
what
Yeah,
the
try it
hiccups
first.
are. Try it, figure it
Mhm.
out, and
Mhm.
then you go wholesale and rip the Band-Aid off, I guess. But I don't know. It's I don't know. We'll see.
We call this
We'll see,
silly
guys.
shit, is what it is. This is silly shit, and very, very typical of a government official. I'll say that. JP, next I'm going to go to the New York Times article here, and then I'll tie the TAG one into it after that. So here we have a New York Times article. This is going to tie into the next one that we cover here. Their fertilizer poisons farmland. Now they want protection from lawsuits. This is it's just funny. They keep talking a company controlled by Goldman Sachs. Look, the company's Centergrow. Okay. Goldman Sachs is an investor, is a majority investor in Centergrow, but this idea that it's controlled by Goldman Sachs is a little bit fucking far-fetched. So just keep that in the back of your head as this goes. Synagro has a fertilizer factory, and they work with sewage sludge, right? So from what I understand, they dry biosolids into either Class A or Class AEQ. And of course, those go into spreading applications, land-based applications, right? So the problem is that farmers are starting to find out that PFAS are in levels that are declared hazardous according to the EPA. Synagro is part of the major effort to lobby Congress to limit the ability of farmers and others to sue to clean up fields polluted by the sludge fertilizer. According to lobbying records and interviews by people familiar with the strategy, the chairman of one of the lobbying groups is Synagro's chief executive. In a letter to the Senate Committee on Environmental and Public Works in March, sludge industry lobbyists argued that they shouldn't be held liable because the chemicals were already in the sludge before they received it and made it into fertilizer. The lobbying has found early success. A bill introduced by Senators John Boozman of Arkansas and Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, both Republicans, would protect sludge companies like Synagro, as well as the wastewater plants that provide the sludge from lawsuits. A House bill has also been introduced. Mr. Lummis will work with the President Trump's EPA to ensure passive receivers like water utilities and others are protected from bogus third-party lawsuits. Synagro and Goldman Sachs declined to answer detailed questions. Synagro, in its most recent sustainability report, acknowledged the risk of PFAS contamination in its fertilizer, calling it one of our industry's challenges. Widespread manufacturing of PFAS began decades ago, so on and so forth. Even as PFAS has turned up in fertilizer, the government has continued to promote use of sewer sludge as fertilizer. And while Donald J. Trump's election raises the prospect that PFAS restrictions might be rolled back alongside other environmental rules, Synagro is pressing ahead on the effort to protect itself from expensive lawsuits. And I want to make this clear that is purely hypothetical right now. That I don't think anyone can predict anything at any time, anywhere of what Donald Trump is going to do. It is like a total shit show, lawn darts game of trying to predict what he's going to do. Especially when you've got the likes of like Salatino or whatever the regenerative ag guy's name is, and RFK. Like, there's no telling how this is going to go. And anyone who says that this is gonna lead to this or that is absolutely full of shit. And I want to make it clear that this is a bipartisan issue of kicking the can down the road. The EPA has said that the rule on upgraded PFAS recommendations and for the last, 3 years. And it still has not come out. And the reality is that they're not going to release this before the end of Biden's term. And it was one of the things that was promised. And I promise you, there is a pile of fucking money and solutions that are out there that are waiting to be implemented. And the only thing they're waiting for are these updated revisements from the EPA. And until those come out, nobody really knows what to do. Now, there's still some muddying in the water, right? Because you've got the PFAS molecule, and then you have thousands of other molecules that are really, really small carbon chains. And the thing is that you can't really test for those because they're so sensitive. And, some HPLC testing with really, really, really high precision rates are able to detect it. Others aren't. And so when you're talking about capturing these things out of a gas stream or out of flowing water, it becomes more and more difficult. And so even from a testing perspective, science isn't exactly there yet. So I just want to make it clear that this is just because a Republican or a Democrat in office doesn't mean it is or is not going to get addressed right now. What it appears to me is that this is all just a series of kicking the can down the road. So now we'll jump in here that a company is facing all manner of legal challenges. This is from the same article here. Synagro, again, is working its ass off to make sure that they can't be found liable for being sued for the PFAS contamination. Okay. Now, Synagro is already facing a lawsuit from a group of ranchers in Johnson County, Texas, who stopped sending their cattle to market and sued Synagro for damages after a neighboring farm used sewer sludge on its fields. The county investigators found 32 types of PFAS. For example, one of the C8s that Spurgey talked about, which is a precursor to PFAS. Synagro has contested those allegations. Residents of San Bernardino County have also sued the company over exposure to PFAS and other pollutants when open-air pits of biosolids caught fire at a Synagro's subsidiary. In October, a cattle farmer in Randolph County, Missouri, filed an intent to sue Synagro and another biosolid company, saying the companies have acknowledged that PFAS chemicals may be present in the sludge, but continue to provide it to farmers. So This is the reality of the situation right now. Synagro is saying you can't sue us for it. The farmers are saying you are still selling it knowingly that they are PFAS contaminated. Okay, that's the debate that's happening here, right? The current lawsuits, we'll go back to the Missouri farmer. I think it's terrible. The Missouri farmer, who alongside 2 local environmental groups, is demanding that Synagro cease supplying sludge fertilizer in the state. He and the coalition have also petitioned the state to ban the use of fertilizer altogether. Ugh. Why do those fucking people have to be on that side of the argument? They're the crazies. They need to get the fuck out of here and let the adults talk. The current lawsuits against Synagro don't make claims under America's Superfund law. Okay, so the Superfund law is like, where they have to go in and clean all this shit up, and it gets designated a Superfund site. There's like federal funding goes along with it, whatever. The current lawsuits against Synagro don't make claims under America's Superfund law, which requires corporations to clean up toxic contamination. But that landmark law is likely to be central in future cases because of the EPA's decision this year to designate 2 major kinds of PFAS as hazardous substances under the law. The industry's lobbying seeks to inoculate Synagro and others from lawsuits, even over decades-old contamination. What the biosolids companies are doing is attempting to buy themselves a get-out-of-jail-free card, says an attorney with Guerrero and Whittle, who is representing the Texas ranchers. All this protects is a business model that makes Synagro rich while destroying America's farmland. A cornfield in Johnson County, Texas, fertilized with Synagro's product, showed with whatever. PFAS ended up on farmland because it's passed through in all kinds of different ways. But a growing body of research shows that, unbeknown to farmers, fertilizers made from the sewage that flows from homes and factories can contain heavy concentrations of PFAS, which then can contaminate farmland. It's difficult to know how much fertilizer sludge is used nationwide. The EPA data is incomplete. The industry says more than 2 million dry tons were used on 4.6 million acres of farmland. That was back in 2018, and it estimates that farmers have obtained permits to use sewage sludge on nearly 70 million acres, or about a fifth of all U.S. agricultural lands. They've also found the chemicals and other shit that we eat and consume all the time, too. Maine has begun systematically testing agricultural land for PFAS. So far, it's found 68 farms with significant contamination. They banned the use of sewage sludge in 2022, and they set up a fund to support affected farms. Lawmakers in Washington are only now starting to take notice. The Senate version of a stalled farm bill would have created a $500 million fund to be used to clean up farms, about farmers, monitor health, and fund testing for PFAS, essentially shifting the cost onto the taxpayer. The fate of the measures modeled on Maine's approach remain unclear. It could be ultimately millions of acres of farmland is contaminated with biosolids and may no longer be suitable for agriculture unless they are cleaned up. They may simply be too expensive to clean up is the fucking issue. Synagro does not publicly report on financial results. Its earnings hit $100 million to $120 million last year. Analysis estimate an investment fund run by Goldman Sachs West Street Infrastructure Partners acquired Synagro in 2020 in the deal that was reported to be at least $600 million. As concerns over PFAS risk have grown, Synagro has stepped up its lobbying. They set up a nonprofit coalition of recyclers of residual organics by practitioners of sustainability. Jesus. And installed the company's chief executive, Bob Preston. Since its founding, the group has spent $220,000 on federal lobbying. Mr. Trump's return to office introduces a new complication. The EPA's designation for some of PFAS as hazardous under the Superfund law could be rolled back. Project 2020. I'm not even going to fucking read that. That's insane. Meat contaminated with PFAS chemicals from a Maine cattle operation. Maine had to shut them down because of all this. Farmers aren't even aware. It goes on and on about it. Okay. So I want to make that really fucking clear that's going on right now. So the biosolid company that is drying the biosolids and then reselling it, so they're taking it for a fee, right? So cheaper than a landfilling fee. So they'll say, hey, look, you have to landfill it. It costs $80 a ton. We'll take it for fucking $60 a ton, and then we'll dry it and we'll resell it. And so it takes it off your hands. You're no longer responsible. The water, wastewater treatment facilities. Now they're saying, please don't sue us though, because we didn't put the PFAS in it. All we're doing is just moving it from the wastewater treatment facility across how many acres of farmland, 7 million acres of farmland or whatever it is. Interestingly, just the other day, on December 11th, Attorney General Ken Paxton sues manufacturers of toxic PFAS forever chemicals for falsely advertising household products as safe for families. So effectively, this is what Synagro wants to have happen. Synagro is saying, please God, don't sue us out of existence. Go after the people that are putting PFAS into the circle of life. What did Texas do? Texas said, yeah, great point. Let's do it. So Now, Ken Paxton here has opted to go after 3M, DuPont, and others that advertise the safety of brands such as Teflon, Stainmaster, Scotchguard, because of the absolute insane amount of PFAS that have been put into land and air and water as a result of the manufacturing and selling of these products. Again, what you see, like Spurgey talked about, is one of the precursors in the production of Teflon, right? That one is also absolutely a disaster, as you might imagine as well. So, again, I don't care what opinion you have on this. I will have to think about this. Because I literally just read this earlier about Synagro. I got this copy of the press release from Ken Paxton on Friday, and read through it. And to me, that makes a lot of sense that they would go after that, because that's what's created this problem. Now, if biosolids are contaminated and you're still reselling them, does that leave you free and clear from? My question is, that are they still doing it without testing? And if that is the case, I don't understand how you could argue that does not leave you liable for it, right? If the manufacturing of and sale and production of Teflon is creating this problem, but you're the person that buys Teflon from 3M and resells it to someone else to be used in another process, does that alleviate you from doing it? Even though that, Teflon shouldn't have been continued to be in production, but you're still the one that, because it is still moving it from point A to point B to make sure that it ends up in whoever's hands. I don't know where the chain of custody ends and begins. Point being is that now, on the flip side of this, is that for companies like Synagro, what they're not, probably why I think they are so freaked out about this, and that, like, they're just trying to kick the can down his road as long as they can. So you got the EPA kicking the can down the road. You've got all the various state governments that are kicking the can down the road. You've got bipartisan support for kicking the can down the road. You've got companies that are engaging in the treating and selling of biosolids that are kicking the can down the road. You know why? And then you've got insurance companies. Insurance companies are the ones that are going to be the ones that are settling these lawsuits, right? And it's the insurance companies that are going to put the kibosh on this, because in the event one lawsuit gets through, like, for example, the one in Texas right now where they are suing Synagro, if they can't get these lobbying efforts done and one does go through, maybe their insurance will cover them on the first lawsuit, maybe the second lawsuit, but after that, it's done. FUBAR, they're not going to cover them anymore at all, and then it will bankrupt the company and they'll be gone. It's my personal belief. I don't know if this is true. I'm just totally speaking out of the side of my mouth. I'm just throwing darts at a dartboard here. It's my personal belief is that Synagro is just trying to remain operational, understanding that they are FUBARED. I would say they're probably scrambling as fast as they can to figure out how they're going to solve this problem. And I don't know what their efforts or pilot level testing for solutions is right now. I'm sure they've got a lot of that going on, but the reality is that I would say that their insurance company is breathing down their neck to say your days are fucking numbered. Anyway, those are our burns, and we're sticking to it. Ray, let me ask you here. So.
Yeah.
With the games that everyone is playing right now, and I don't know how much this has to say or not. It's my guess. I'm going to phrase it this way. It is my guess that, okay, you've got Synagro that is drying the biosolids and then selling it in bulk. You've got fertilizer blenders that are buying it from companies like Synagro that are blending it into bags of fertilizer and then selling it, right? How far down the liability wormhole do you go? Does it go all the way to the applicator? Are they now fiscally responsible and for cleanup on residential properties? Where does it go?
I would not think so. I would not think so, Matt, because I think the responsibility has to begin and end at the parties that are creating and then selling this particular product, because I know you've always said test, test, and test, right, Matt? You always say that, and verify what's in your product that you're even spreading. But then knowing that the onus is on the manufacturers of these products, because as an applicator, what if you are spreading or applying a product and you have zero knowledge that that product has PFAS in it? You see where I'm going with this, Matt?
Yeah, I think there is a plausible amount of deniability that an applicator can make that says that I didn't think I was causing any problems. And I think that's a legitimate thing. I think that is
That's
very legitimate.
that's a fair statement, because if not, then I also will put it on the governments or the local governments in these localities where they are all about testing and assuring guaranteed analysis of all of these products, right, Matt? And they're also supposedly checking for heavy metals and other toxins present in the product. And by the way, that is why, for example, in at least in my state, getting products that contain biosolid that's not sourced from the Honolulu City and County wastewater treatment plants, buying a product that is manufactured from out of state, that's a hard thing to do. And you know why it's hard? Because of all the testing that the product has to pass. And you know what they're looking for? They're looking for
Yeah.
all manner of heavy metals, toxins, etc. They're looking for it, and it's not hard to fail that test.
Yeah, and I think everybody in the production side of this is very aware of mitigating heavy metals and some of the things that have been industry standard. Now, it has been flipped on its head, because now this has showed up. The number of labs that even complete this level of testing is difficult. The standard that is already set right now, that is a recommendation from the EPA, is really difficult to test for. To make a claim of being PFAS free is practically impossible to test for, because they don't have the resonance of their testing equipment to be able to see as small as they need to. And then plus, these materials carry a charge; they tend to aggregate together, and so it becomes even more difficult to test for them. They can get clumpy, and so you can get either a concentrated spot or an empty spot. So it's difficult in and of itself as just a material to test for it. And then you have so many different variants of it that is just a carbon chain off or a fluoride chain off. And now you get down to where you're like at a C8, for example, like Spurgy talked about, right? That becomes more difficult. And then you get down to a C3, and that becomes more difficult, right? And the question is that this is something that we don't even know. We know that even the smaller carbon chains are not good for the human body. They're not good for the environment because they're still persistent, and they do create problems for us. But again, if we can't validate or quantify what's in the ground and then what exactly happens to us when we consume it, at what thresholds, over what period of time, it's crazy. This is a absolute free for all right now. And I think the New York Times put a good quote in there, is that simply chances are we can't afford the kind of cleanup that's needed now. And if we went in and we started shutting down all the farmlands that had levels of PFAS that are above current EPA recommendations right now, which we're talking like 0.2 parts per trillion, no, 2 parts per trillion. I don't know if you could find farmland that didn't have that. I don't know. And so if that all of a sudden quarantines the acres of farmland we have in the United States, let's say to the tune of 70%, 80%, then what do? I don't know. This is a bad situation, and unfortunately, this is one of the unfortunate things that happened. That is a how do I phrase this? In an effort to try to do good in the recycling space, I have an opinion that you never recycle from the same species to the same species, right? You don't feed cows to cows. You don't produce feed for cows from the remnants of cows. You don't. Again, I think the obvious one there is mad cow disease. I mean, we've seen it happen. I mean, that's been around for a long time. What happens?
I got
You
another one
start
for you,
feeding-
Matt.
What's
I got
that?
another one for you, Matt. You don't feed human product to humans, and even if it's
Exactly.
indirectly
Exactly.
via waste, because okay, I told you about my girlfriend from mainland China, right? And we were talking about food because we were both foodies. And she said, Ray, the one thing you don't do when you're in China is you definitely don't eat any fruits or vegetables raw. And do you know why she said that?
Why?
Because they fertilize the fields with unprocessed human shit. That's why.
So we're not going to go off into wormhole here, but you have gram-positive, gram-negative bacteria, and even if you took an amino acid assay from a plant versus an amino acid assay from an animal, you're going to see different concentrations of different amino acids, gaps in certain amino acids, proliferation of others. And all those are going to have different effects in what you're growing. And it is my personal opinion on the product development manufacturing space is that if you're going to fertilize a plant, fertilize it with a waste stream. You fertilize it with a plant derived waste stream. You don't use an animal derived waste stream, and especially like getting into the gram negative stuff and all that, it can get real weird real fast with what makes its way into the plants. Then same piece here, right? You would think in that regard, if you're going to fertilize a plant for an animal, you fertilize it with an animal, right? No. It's still a plant. If you're going to fertilize it with this waste stream, use a plant waste stream, right? So you can use your soy waste, you can use your hemp waste, you can use your corn waste, whatever it is you want to do. You can hydrolyze it into the amino acids that you want and include that as a biostimulant all fucking day long. All fucking day. Use all your vegetal derived sources and get your 16 units of nitrogen out of it. Have fun. Go for it. But when you start using humans to fertilize plants for the consumption of humans, I'm telling you,
Time's up. It's over.
just like we see what happens with mad cow disease, now we've created another situation for ourselves. And I feel like we should have known this before we got into it, and somehow we didn't. And it's not that complicated to test wastewater sewage sludge for some of the things that are creating problems now. We're not even talking about hormones currently, and that's a whole separate argument that we're just gonna save for another day. Okay, let's check out this week's returns. La 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 la. I am back. By the way, Demay's kids woke up. He had to run and take care of them. Just to remind everyone, we are humans that do this, and we have human lives, real lives. We are not YouTubers by day. We do this purely for fun because we enjoy it. This is nothing other from us for nothing other than us giving back to the industry that has given us something. This is very much us saying thank you to an industry that we love and we give back. And we're very real people with very real lives that are very human. And sometimes humanity calls and you got to go take care of your fucking kids. And that's what Demay's doing right now, like a good damn dad. On the returns here, we have Toro. Partnering with a Virginia high school for a new turf grass program. This is featured in Lawn and Landscape magazine. Let me. I'll read a little bit here, and then I'll give you a very strong opinion I have on this. Toro's recently entered into a partnership with Brentsville District High School, located in Prince William County, Virginia, to cultivate the next generation of turfgrass managers. Starting this fall, Brentville's District High School will be rebranding their turfgrass program to be named the Brentsville Turf Toro Grounds Academy. The program at Brentsville is Dr. Drew Miller. It's the first of its kind. It has an attendance of more than 200 students annually. As a result, graduates of this program have gone to top colleges, turf programs, and into professional roles in the industry. 18 graduates are enrolled full-time turf programs at top U.S. colleges and universities, and 8 graduates have taken roles in professional sports, university athletics, and golf courses. Okay, so what I want to say here is that there are a couple of companies that have invested money there are private companies that have invested money into education with the intent of preparing students to be better suited to enter the industry, right? And I'll give you a case in point. There is a huge chemical manufacturing company. It's distributed all throughout the United States, Eastman Chemical. They have an education track program to suit people that intend to go work in that industry. In seeing private companies make these kind of strategic investments in education for the kids that will be growing up and have a better view or a different view, or whether they be optimistic or decide that, you know what, that's exactly what I don't fucking like to do in my life, is such a massive benefit. The kids that graduate from this program, hopefully they find it or are passionate about it. And ultimately, having this kind of exposure at this young to be, brought up in the environment and the culture that is turfgrass, is ultimately going to end up spurring way more innovation than we have ever seen. Not every one of these kids are going to graduate and enter a turfgrass program and decide they want to be a golf course superintendent. Some of them are going to decide that they really enjoy organic chemistry and then work on developing the next active ingredient that might help us, bridge the gap to, 30 billion people on the planet that live comfortably and well fed. You never fucking know. One of these students that come through this program may get into genetics, and then all of a sudden, breed us the next variety of turfgrass that requires, a pinch of the amount of water that we currently need. I think exposure at this young level is tremendously important. And the fact that Toro is coughing up the money, understanding that this is a generational ROI here, is a huge, huge thing. And I want to say big fucking shout out to Toro, and a big shout out to this fucking school district for even allowing them to do this and bring it in-house to this degree and this capacity. So I think this is fucking awesome. Toro.
Yeah,
Ray,
Matt,
would you have gone to a turf program at your high school? I would have.
Fuck yeah, Matt. You better believe it.
You and me
You better
both.
believe
You and
it.
me both.
Yeah, I would have done it, and I like seeing industry support for a turf program because, you know what, Matt, I had a thought while you were going through it. For all you know, the next engineer for turf machinery could have been inspired by this program, right? The next engineer,
Yep.
to make mowers, sprayers, aerators, whatever, and the next generation of machinery, I honestly believe, is going to become very robotic, very electronically controlled. So we need the people to engineer and maintain that machinery. And I think that the kids are the future for that.
You are 100% correct. And then the last one here we'll go through is a shout out to my alma mater, University of Tennessee. The Tennessee Turfgrass team has won a national award for its work to expand the turfgrass industry, according to a release from the UT Institute of Agriculture. The team's 6 faculty members have been recognized with National Excellence Extension Team Award, which recognizes the excellence of an extension team in performing the work of extension research, technical assistance, and outreach education. Here we have Dr. Jim Brosnan, Rebecca Bowling, who's now head of Turfgrass Extension. Of course, Jim Brosnan is he's an absolute stud in the industry, especially when it comes to he runs the Weed Diagnostic Center and also has been a pioneer in resistance, especially as it relates to POA annua and how actionable that information is over to even lawn care is tremendous. Big win there. Anna Duncan, an extension specialist in charge of UT Certified Lawn Care Professional Program. So again, more lawn care focus here from Anna. Brandon Horvath, you see his name all over the place. Disease management, that is where he rocks and rolls. Dr. Sorokin, he has done, you talk about sports field, there is probably no one better in the United States, better educated in the United States on alternative turf surfaces. So we're talking about athletic turf and the pitfalls and successes of where turf grass just ultimately comes out as the better choice than artificial turf in most instances. I'm probably reaching there, my own little bias there to say, it always wins or whatever. But of course, he's also going to be at the FIFA global governing body for optimum pitches in the 16 stadiums for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So kudos to Dr. Sorokin. He really is a stud. And then Dr. Tom Samples, of course. Anybody who's been affiliated with UT Turf knows Dr. Samples, one of the kindest people you ever meet. And so he's retired now, but kudos to him. He's always a rock in this industry, especially in this region, for sure. Everyone has a story with him. Everyone has experience with him, and he's always been insanely nice, including to me, which I certainly did not deserve at the time. So shout out to my boys over there at Rocky Top, holding it down. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. With that, we are going to dip out of here. We're going to go hang out with our patrons and let them choose the title of this week's episode. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, you can hop over at patreon.com/burner return. You can hang out with us, our friends, and our family at our private Discord there. As for the cost of an airport beer, doesn't really take you a whole lot of your life, and you get some behind-the-scenes access to what we got going on, some of the things we work on offline, and some of the shit we talk when we're offline as well, too. There's no shortage of shit talking that goes on in our world. That is for sure. All right, everyone. Y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you later. Bye!